Here is the step in Simplex method. So how can we solve linear programming problem? So we have to consider the steps in solving linear programming problem by Simplex method. One is formulation of the linear programming problem. If your question is an English statement, you have to formulate by converting it to mathematical description. After you formulate the linear programming problem, or if your question has been formulated, your next step is to what? To convert in standard form. Converting in standard form. So when we are converting in standard form, I explained before that you have to determine the slack variable, that is the decision variable you are giving. It will let you know the what, how many slack variable you are going to add to it, and turning the inequality to equality. Then our next step is what? Setting up the table. Setting up the table, that is in matrix form. You have to set your table, that is your constraint and objective function, in what? In on a table. Then after you set the table, the next step is to check optimality. That is, optimality is what? The objective function. You have to check the objective function. After you check the objective function, the objective function will now be your pivot. The highest number in your objective function will be your what? Pivot column. That's what they're saying, that check optimality. So when you check the optimality, your next step is to identify the pivot element and ring it. So whenever you check on the objective function, so when you have identified your highest number on the objective function, the column will not be your what? The column of the number, the pivot column, the element in the pivot column. You now use it to divide it by the solution of the quantity, that is the solution of the constraint, so that you can get your pivot element. So whenever you divide it, that's why you identify the pivot element and ring it. So whenever you get your pivot element, so the least element that give you the number will be your pivot element. Then next step is to divide all the elements in pivot row by the value of the pivot element. Since you have gotten your pivot element, so your next table is to what? To divide all the elements in pivot row by the value of the pivot element, so that you will get another next table. And then next step is obtain the new value in the row. When you have divided your pivot row by your pivot element, you get a new value for your pivot row. Then if you get a pivot row, it means you have to write a new value in the what? You have to obtain a new value in the row. So after you have obtained a new value in the row, you now repeat the above step until optimal solution is reached. And I explained that optimal solution is if your objective function is maximization, it means your optimal solution must be what? Zero or negative. That is, your objective function, you have to get a what? Your objective function, the value of your objective function must be zero or negative. And if you are not getting zero or negative in the role of that objective function, it means you have to continue drawing your table till your optimal solution is reached. So these are the step in Simplex method in solving linear programming problem. So when you consider this step, you will be able to solve a question on Simplex method. So this is the steps